Hi, my name's Will. Welcome to Redraft. Alright, I'll level with you. I'm totally winging this and I'm not really sure where it's going, but I had this idea to do some videos based around breaking down movies and TV shows, specifically ones adapted from books, comics, video games, etc., comparing them to their source material, figuring out what works and what doesn't work, and kind of sort of coming up with a hypothetical redraft for them. I don't know, I thought it might be fun. What qualifies me for this, you may ask? Well, nothing. Absolutely nothing. Moving on. I want to start with His Dark Materials, partly because it was one of my favourite series of books when I was growing up, and partly because I feel like it's been done a disservice adaptation-wise. It's been a victim of the film industry's cash-grabbing catch-up culture twice now. The first attempt was The Golden Compass back in 2007. Lord of the Rings had recently made all of the money in the world, and the Harry Potter film series was in full swing, also making all the money. So lots of properties which kinda looked maybe vaguely similar to either of those were rushed into production at around the same time in an attempt to piggyback on their success. See also Aragorn, Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief, The Chronicles of Narnia, The Sorcerer's Apprentice, and The Last Airbender. While probably not quite the worst of those films, The Golden Compass was still pretty bloody terrible, and performed poorly enough to get the planned sequels scrapped. Thank God for small mercies. Then along came 2019, you remember, in the before time. Game of Thrones had just limped over the finish line with its trousers round its ankles.
I was really pleased with that.
But it had made all of the money, so it was time once again for all the production companies to scrabble around for the next big thing in fantasy. Amazon have announced a Lord of the Rings series, HBO are doing, well, more Game of Thrones because if it ain't broke. Oh wait, Netflix are doing The Witcher and, oh god. And the BBC, with a sprinkling of HBO, are doing His Dark Materials. Now, the show isn't terrible, but it isn't great either, and it does feel to me as if it's been made less out of a desire to adapt the books, and more out of a desire to have a Game of Thrones. Maybe I'm cynical, maybe the massive media corporations are cynical. Who's to say? But actually, the His Dark Materials show sitting in that not bad, not great zone suits my purposes pretty well, mainly because there's more to say than just, it's bad, chuck it out and forget about it. The show makes some interesting changes, and takes a fair swing at adapting what is admittedly a sprawling, often unfocused, unwieldy sort of text. No, I still love you, it's just, oh, don't be mad. So what is His Dark Materials all about? I imagine you asking, because it's nicer than worrying that I might just be sitting here on my own talking to nobody. Well, hypothetical viewer, it's kind of a tricky question I just made you ask. Initially, it's about an orphan girl named Lyra who gets wrapped up in an expedition to the far north to rescue a group of kidnapped children. And then it gets, bigger. Like a hell of a lot bigger. Parallel worlds bigger, and then bigger than that. Basically what I'm saying is you should read it. Obviously these videos are going to be very spoilery. I'm going to try and section off the really spoilery stuff so that you could watch along with the series if you wanted. But I feel like it's important to say up front, read the books first, before you watch the show. Because they're great, I love them to pieces, and I reckon it's a damn shame that some folks' first impression of them will be a mediocre TV show. Or even, God forbid, whatever this is. So there's your general spoiler warning. Having said that, I'm not actually going to get into spoilery stuff in this episode. This is just a warm-up. What I do want to talk about is the major change I'd made to the show right off the bat. But first, a little context. The defining feature of Lyra's world is that everybody has something called a demon, which is an external manifestation of part of their soul which takes the form of an animal. In childhood, demons can shift between any form they like, but at some point during adolescence, demons settle into one permanent form, the nature of which usually reveals something about the characteristics of their person. The bond between a person and their demon is the closest they'll ever have. In fact, if a demon and their person stray more than a few meters away from each other, they'll feel this agonizing wrench, so powerful that if it happens suddenly, it can kill them both. Demons are so central to life in Lyra's world that to see someone without a demon would be like us seeing somebody walking around without a head, or at least without eyebrows. We'd know immediately that something was wrong and feel sickened and frightened by the spectacle. I reckon that to do justice to demons visually, they need to be a constant presence, as in they ought to be in just about every shot of every character, or at the very least in every wide shot. We, the audience, need to get so used to seeing them that if we were to see someone without one, we'd also know that something was missing. Obviously, this poses a huge technical problem, even before you get to the armoured bears, witches, angels, and tiny dudes who ride dragonflies. Seriously, this text is packed to the rafters with weird stuff. His Dark Materials is reportedly the BBC's most expensive production to date, and the need for CG animals to be ever present presumably accounts for a hefty chunk of the budget. And yes, okay, there are a lot of shots of demons, but for my money, not nearly enough. At the start of the opening scene, we get 4 brief shots of Lord Asriel with his demon, and then she disappears from the scene altogether, while the Master's demon isn't included at all. This may sound like a small quibble, but the importance of demons to the story is not something to understate. They're not just the characters' cute animal buddies, they are the characters. So how do you solve the problem of demons in live action ballooning the budget? Well, I don't think you can, so I think the thing to do is not even try. I reckon you just animate the whole thing. That way you can include the demons as often as they should be without losing control of the costs. Every shot pretty much costs what it costs, demon or no. This obviously isn't what the BBC were after when they went looking for a Game of Thrones killer, but that's a wild goose chase anyway. The next Game of Thrones, i.e. the next blockbusting, mega popular runaway success TV show, probably isn't going to be actually designed to be the next Game of Thrones. It's going to come out of left field and fill a niche that nobody knew needed filling. And besides, I'm not interested in what the BBC wanted. I'm interested in a decent adaptation of the books. And I really think animation would be the way to go. 20 to 30 minute episodes pitched somewhere between Avatar and the films of Studio Ghibli. To be honest, the world of His Dark Materials, with its airships, vaguely defined magic, sinister government agents and collection of weird and wonderful creatures, already feels Ghibli-esque, while Lyra herself would fit in perfectly alongside Ghibli's iconic young heroines. She's stubborn, she's reckless, she's impulsive, and she's got a wide-eyed lust for adventure. The whole thing, I think, lends itself so perfectly to this style that I really can't think of a better format to bring it to life. Because for me, it isn't the spectacle that makes His Dark Materials stand out from the crowd. In fact, it's when the story starts to lean more towards the spectacular that it starts to fall apart. Now, what's special about it is the characters, and I'd take a faithful animated rendering of those characters over the most impressively photorealistic armoured bear fight imaginable, every single time. Well, there it is. Thanks for watching. I guess like and subscribe and all that, and let me know what you think, and yeah, until next time. Bye.